Today, Biden mocks Americans who support the Second Amendment. Project Veritas uncovers discriminatory hiring practices against, surprise, conservatives. And the United States authorized a new COVID booster shot. Congratulations, everyone. We've got all of that coming up, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I'm Sarah Gonzalez, and I am joined once again. We get a back-to-back with Matthew Marsden, actor and producer. Matthew Marsden, thank you for taking the time to be here again.
It's my pleasure.
And by the way, congratulations on your wife becoming an official citizen today.
Thank you very much. It's a really big thing, so we're very, very excited and proud about that.
We are really happy for you guys as well. Also, Jason Buttrell, chief researcher of the Glenn Beck program, joining us, and I feel like this is intentional that you wore a button-up shirt, but you didn't actually button it up because that would be giving me too much credit.
I can't go that far. Come on. Like, yes, you saw how I did the buzz yesterday. I was in a sleeveless shirt in the buzz yesterday, so you're getting sleeves.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, imagine he could have just buttoned it up. That's what they're for, and instead he just left it open. Hey. Oh my God, Jason.
Hey, it's me.
Anyway, I want to get to the news of the day, but I would just like to point out, we were talking off air before we started about your wife becoming an American citizen, and I asked, how was the ceremony? And you said what?
I couldn't go. They wouldn't allow me. They wouldn't allow me because of COVID, but there were 160 people there.
But they were all 6 feet apart and wearing masks? No.
Science.
Yeah. It's crazy how that science works. That is so enraging. But we are still very, very excited for her.
Yes.
And I feel like I'm going to derail the whole show. I feel like immigrants like you guys who you do it the right way. And we have Jaco Booyens, who came from South Africa, did it the right way, and you go through the process. And you guys are some of the most patriotic people that I know, because you know what it's like to be somewhere else and you don't take it for granted. And I think you're so patriotic and passionate about the country and about freedom, and I just love it. So
yeah, well, I mean, it's when like you said, when you come from somewhere else and you come here, and it's not like I came from some like banana republic somewhere. I came from the UK, right. But I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I grew up like my dream was to even have a vacation in America, like not even be a citizen. The fact, like I do every day I wake up, the fact that I am a citizen is such a big deal. Like I don't take it for granted at all. And it does, every time I hear the national anthem, it really does stir something in me.
Yeah.
And I love it, and I'm very grateful for it. And I think that I said to my wife, we will always do things the right way because we love the country so much. We don't want to do anything to shortcut that. And I'm not complaining about going through the system. I think that everyone should go through the system the same way. Right. It's just that when people don't go through the system, it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you being here. All right, I guess we'll get to the news, whatever. So the Department of Justice newest filing of the Mar-a-Lago raid includes photographs of super secret classified documents. The DOJ also alleged the Trump team likely concealed and removed documents from the storage room, and that efforts were likely taken to obstruct the government's investigation. Wow. The documents, mind you, so incredibly sensitive that the DOJ just publicly released photographs of them. That's how you know that they are like they're super duper secret. And look, I also would like to just point out in this, there's a lot of likelies here. There's a lot. I mean, they give themselves the leeway. They're like, well, we just figured it was likely that he may or may not have. We don't know, but he could have. And then we figured we probably should maybe go look. Just enough. They give them just enough discretion so that they can make this seem on the up and up. But I'm shocked that they would threaten national security the way that they did by releasing photographs of these highly, highly sensitive classified documents.
This is a masterclass in FBI manipulation,
yes,
in my opinion.
100%.
I mean, so And it also shows you how they know how to, play the media's fiddle, basically,
Just
and
like
get
saying,
them to jump.
It's the perfect crime.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, even this, can you put that photo back up for just a second? I just want to look at that.
Yeah, I'll get to it.
What's funny is you don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
You just see a bunch of cover sheets of classified information, but they're posting this as if this is like some gotcha moment. We don't even know what the hell that is.
Right.
It's just a bunch of crap thrown in the floor.
Right.
But then they include a box on the right side of I almost cussed right there, of effing Time magazine covers. And there's one, and the one specifically right in the front was like a very, very mean one for President Trump. It was Trump and all the people that were like coming after him behind him, looking through the window.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that entire thing is staged.
Yep.
And that the media just bought into that.
Yep.
All the blue check marks were like dancing jigs and posting that out like, oh my gosh, smoking gun, we got him.
Right.
Just like you got him in 2015, 16, 17, 18. It's going to be the same thing next year and the year after that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely the days of J. Edgar Hoover. And Matthew, I don't know if you know some of this history on the J. Edgar Hoover days, but J. Edgar Hoover, one of the founding members of the FBI, was caught in illegal burglaries, wiretapping. You would think reading our history of the FBI that you're reading the history of the KGB. It's almost exactly the same. Blackmailing people, all kinds of crazy crap. And then when J. Edgar Hoover, which his namesake is still on the building, the J. Edgar Hoover building. They'll tear down statues of founding fathers, but they'll keep it the J. Edgar Hoover building, knowing all of his scandals. Yeah. Says enough. But just because he went away, the legacy lives on today. Yeah. I mean, they're still doing the same bullcrap.
Yeah, it really is the perfect crime. You get to do whatever you want to try to hang Trump, and then you get to say, oh, well, we can't tell you what actually he had that was so bad because that would threaten national security. So you just have to believe us. We can't actually send you the affidavit. We can't show you this affidavit to show that we can actually back up what we're saying. We have to redact the whole thing because it could threaten national security. But don't worry. Trust us. We're here to help you.
Yeah, don't criticize and question either.
Right.
They're very clear on that.
Right.
Don't question.
And the problem is that a lot of conservatives are very pro-police. They were very pro-FBI, and that's gone now. And there's no journalism. Journalism is gone. There's a few people, like here at the Blaze, they're actually doing their jobs, but, they know that once they put that out, that the media is going to run with it, right? And again, I'm very good friends with one of the good FBI agents, Tim Clemente, who's a counterterrorism guy, and he said to me when all this was going down before, he goes, do people know that, and I know you guys know this, but that the president can declassify something at any point. Right. He can say it. We can just stand up there and just say, okay, this is, and it's, so this is all ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous, but we know they said, was it the first day after he got his presidency, they said the impeachment starts today. So all they just keep doing is they keep throwing stuff. It's like the Kavanaugh thing, right? I mean, you look back at Brett Kavanaugh and you're like, who keeps their diary from when they were 11 years old? Like this is a super nerd guy that keeps all of these things. Like anyone, I can't even remember what I had for dinner yesterday. I can't even tell you, right? But what they're doing here is they just they're throwing stuff at Trump. But and by the way, he's passed pretty much all those. Right. Yep. Those.
He's been vindicated in all of them.
Every single one. But here's the deeper problem that we have. It's all to intimidate us. That's what it is, because not everybody has $5 billion in the bank that can go, and is a former president that can go and defend this. This is clearly saying, hey, listen, January the 6th, shut up, or we're going to come after you, we're going to jail you, and you're not going to have any rights, right? Oh, by the way, we're going after the president. What do you think we're going to do to you? We're going to come after you. It's clear intimidation for regular folks. I've heard people say, hey, man, I don't know. I don't want the FBI coming after me. I've seen what they've done to Trump. I've heard people say this. This is fundamentally un-American.
Yeah, and not only, and it absolutely is intimidation. And they're also not only showing you what they'll do to you, look, they're going to do it to the guy that you voted for. Yep. But not only that, but because you voted for him, you're semi-fascist. He just, in a matter of days, he said we're semi-fascist. And then was it today, Jean-Pierre doubled down on that and said that basically the MAGA Republicans are the biggest threat in the country right now. I mean, it feels like a big crackdown is coming. It feels insane.
Which is what we said whenever all of this, after January 6th happened, and they saw their in to start calling anyone who associates with conservatives as a domestic terrorist. I mean, we saw them start doing this, start changing the language, start calling everyone who was at the protest extremists, domestic terrorists. We saw them doing this because that was going to be their whole plan the entire time. I want to go to Joe Biden. Last night in Pennsylvania, Biden mocked you, yes you, because I know if you're watching my show, if you're watching it unironically anyway, you are watching it, you love your freedom, you love your Bill of Rights, you love, your guns, and Joe Biden mocked you because you believe the Second Amendment is necessary to protect yourselves from a tyrannical government, because trust him, okay? If anything went down, you ain't protecting yourself from anything because they're the ones with the real big equipment. Watch.
And for those brave right-wing Americans who say it's all about keeping America's independent and safe, if you want to fight against the country, you need an F-15. You need something a little more than a gun.
All right.
Yeah, this speech almost gave me an aneurysm. I'm trying to figure out, there's so many things to take off that. Yep. For one, is he threatening to use an F-15 against his own people? Right. He even mentions nukes later. He's threatening to nuke Nebraska, for crying out loud. The balls of saying this at this time, right at the anniversary of Afghanistan. Did the Taliban have F-15s? Did they?
Nope.
No. Did the Viet Cong, did they have F-15s? No. Guerrilla forces are, this is kind of beyond the point, but they are effective. So it kind of shows right there that, he's talking out of somewhere and nothing intelligible. But I'm just floored in the even the hubris at the beginning of that speech. For all you right wing, or what do you say, brave right wing Americans. Brave right wing Americans. Yep. It's just, the contempt that they have for a vast majority of the country is just amazing.
Especially when it's like, if you look at it, it's like, well, yeah, probably people want to own guns because of your horrible policies, the way that you've deteriorated the inner cities, the fact that there's record highs of violence going on, that you're decriminalizing things, that you're letting criminals who are supposed to be serving time out into the streets. Those are all your policies. You're defunding the police, except now you're backtracking on that because you realize it was a horrible idea. Those are all your policies that are making us less safe, and then you're going to mock us because we want to make sure that we are armed to protect our families?
It's insane. But it's all by design. It's not an accident. We know that. But what's funny is if you look at that little piece when he's talking, they're all clapping, and then he starts talking about F-15, and everyone behind him's like, what are you talking about? See, I'd like to think that actually he's saying, you can buy an F-15, which I think that's a positive thing. I'd love one. I would love one, to be honest. Have you seen Top Gun Maverick? I totally would love one.
Well, Jason mentioned throughout the whole speech, he thought he was going to have an aneurysm. I would assume that this was one of the moments when he said that he is determined to ban assault weapons. Watch.
I'm determined to ban assault weapons in this country. Determined. I did it once before, and I'll do it again.
But like your
For many of you home, I want to be clear. It's not about taking away anybody's guns. In fact, we should be treating responsible gun owners as examples how every gun owner should behave. I have 2 shotguns at home. It's a long story, but I'm not opposed to guns. But I support the Second Amendment, and I support the Second Amendment. But the Second Amendment, as one of the most conservative justices in history, Justice Scalia once wrote, quote, like most rights, the rights granted by the Second Amendment are not unlimited.
There's a lot to unpack there, but I can't get over the fact that he sounds like a grandpa threatening to discipline you.
Get off my lawn!
Yeah, don't make me turn this car around. I'll do it. I'll do it. I love that it's just doublespeak, right? He's like, I am determined to ban these weapons. I'm not trying to take away your guns. I'm just banning you from owning them. It's like, but you are trying to take away my guns because you just said you are. And those two things don't quite align.
If he wasn't the most powerful man in the world, right, you'd sit and he'd be like that crazy uncle that you have at the barbecue that you go, it's okay, it's Uncle Jack. Just like, let him go on a bit and give him some vodka and he'll be okay.
He'll pass out. Really
like, he'll pass out in the chair. I gotta tell you, I'm not taking your guns, but I'm taking your guns. That's it. I mean, honestly, but it is scary. This is the most powerful man in the world. And the thing that really irks me and disappoints me is that the people on the left, they don't just say it. They don't just look and go, hey, you know what? This guy, he's not. They're like, oh, he's the greatest president of all time. Look at him. He's so smart and so together. You're like, come on. Like, at least, look, I'd admire you more if you just said, listen, we just wanted power.
Or right? we just not Trump. Right?
Yeah,
we just wanted Trump out.
We just wanted to get rid of him, and this was the guy. I mean, I remember when he said he was going to run. I'm like, you got to be kidding me! Like, are they going to wheel him out? Like, you do expect like Jim Henson to be in the back, like, going, move his arms. I mean, because he's just not there. He's just not there. And again, as a husband, right? If ever I'm at that stage, and please God, I'm not going to be at that stage, I would not want my wife rolling me out like that. Like, have a bit of dignity, right? Like, it's so bad. He's clearly not all there. I don't know. I mean, he's a disaster for the country.
He
really.
is.
So look, I guess 2 points. One is they still really haven't defined assault weapons. So, and that seems to, he's right. I did it before.
Right.
But if
by the way, it had no effect on what they were trying to do.
That's one of the other points I was to make is it didn't do anything. Yeah, thanks a lot, Sarah, for stealing my great point. That was my home run. I was just going to call my shot and walk off. If you looked at the data, it did absolutely nothing. It did absolutely nothing. But ever since then, if you look at how they've, over the years gradually changed their definition of assault weapon. Yeah. All of a sudden we're including like different, how many rounds fit in certain magazines, what certain types of attachments that go on. Basically, if it's black and it looks scary, then it seems like that will fall under the assault weapon, whatever. Like they just want if you had a gun in the 1800s, that doesn't fall under assault weapons. So it's like, no semi-automatic, single shot or shotguns, that type of, I don't know. It seems like that's the direction they're moving into.
Yeah.
But this does scare me because even if they don't try and do some kind of assault weapons ban, if that goes away, I'm really curious what they're going to start doing towards insurance companies, putting pressure on some of the gun manufacturers. Ammunition, that's another way if you want to stop people from using, firearms, go after the ammunition. Yeah. There's multiple ways they can try this, and I better believe they're probably going to try them all.
They definitely will try to backdoor their way into eliminating your Second Amendment right. All right, we got to take a quick break, but first we want to thank our sponsor, Birch Gold. So I don't have to tell you that inflation and the recession are real because you're feeling it. You're feeling it at the gas pump. You're feeling it at the grocery store. You know this, okay? But if all of your money is in the market or if it's tied to the U.S. dollar, you're messing with fire. And I know that this is your retirement nest egg, so don't let it waste away. You got to take a hard look at diversifying your savings into gold and silver. You can text the word Y to 989898. They'll send you this is a free, no obligation information kit on how to diversify and protect your savings with precious metals. Birch Gold is the company to do it with. They've got thousands of satisfied customers, A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. You got to text them. Just get the information and just make sure that you have the knowledge to decide what to do next. But we're in turbulent times, folks. So make sure that you text the word Y to 989898. That is Y, WHY, to 989898. Yesterday, a Virginia judge ruled that bookstores and libraries in Virginia will not require minors to have parental permission to buy 2 sexually explicit books in question. These books are Gender Queer and A Court of Mist and Fury. Now, we've talked about Gender Queer a lot on this program. This is one of those books that parents were finding out were in a lot of schools that it should not have been. I would argue it should not have been in a high school library either, but they were available to very young children as well, and it contains very explicit, let me just tell you, very explicit illustrations of oral sex and masturbation. Jason, is that one of the books that you guys did the special on with Glenn where you couldn't show, we can't show the images because we could get in trouble for showing the images on air, but somehow they are allowed to be in your child's school for your child to consume the material?
That's how bad it is. Yeah, I don't remember the law. I wish Jaco was here to tell us. But yeah, it's like if you busted out one of these books in public somewhere, let's just say you're walking through the mall, it's like, hey, check this out. You would get arrested for exposing this to a minor. It's that bad.
Yeah.
When you how you described it, I wonder if it's the same exact book that we showed
That's
with
what I'm
blurred
saying.
images.
I think it
sounds like
is.
the same one.
I think it is. I've seen the images
horrible.
unblurred.
It's horrible.
Like absolutely horrible. And so the judge said, you don't have to have parental permission to buy these books. This is Tim Anderson is the Virginia lawmaker who took this case to court because he argued that the materials targeting children should be held to a higher obscenity standard than those meant for adults. And the judge said that Virginia law does not give her the specific authority to determine whether the books are obscene for minors. And she also argued or determined that the obscenity law itself was unconstitutional and said restricting the book's distribution would authorize prior restraint of speech and violate the First Amendment, and described concerns about prosecuting someone who didn't know they were selling or loaning books that were deemed to be obscene. I don't know whether or not this case, this ruling is going to be appealed or not, but the fact that we're now having the conversation again, because this is always what they say, right? They say, well, we can't ban books. We can't burn books. We can't. That's a violation of the First Amendment. It's not like no one's banning it from existence, but parents are responsible for children, legally responsible for children until they are 18 for a reason. So how then is it's not banning a book if I don't want my child to have access to this content at a school library, or I don't want them to be able to go to a bookstore and buy it without my consent. I guess you could make the argument that, like, you should know what your child is doing, but I mean, they're 16. You got to give them a little bit of independence, right?
This is how insidious this is, right? They're specifically going after kids in school because they want to indoctrinate them in schools. None of them would have an issue with ask this same chick that's making this argument, say, do you believe in rating systems in movies? She'd probably say yes.
Right.
Because she doesn't want her kid walking into an X-rated movie. She probably doesn't want her kid walking into an R-rated movie, depending on how old, if it's anyone under 18, would have no issues with that whatsoever. Do you have an issue with a child going and buying cigarettes, when they're 14? Yeah, I take issue with that. What is the difference?
Right.
This is the exact same thing.
Yep.
Exact same thing. And just to go back to those images, I got a lot of crazy crap that I look at on my computer because I do research. So a lot of stuff.
Jason, you don't need to admit that.
Like dark web stuff. I told you about all this stuff. Dark web stuff, all kinds of stuff. But
for research.
For research purposes. But if let's say if you circulated some of these images in children's books, if you circulated some of these images just in, like, say, your company, you'd probably get fired.
Yeah.
That's how bad you would get fired.
You would.
That's how bad they are.
You would, for sure.
Gosh.
Well, look, there's a couple of issues here. Number one is that, we have very weak moral leaders. I mean, that's a huge thing. I mean, even if you went back 20 years, there's no judge in the country that would have said that that's okay, right? So, but we're also in a situation where this is a pressure point for parents, or it should be a pressure point for anyone that is a decent parent, right? So they've tried to provoke people. They've tried to provoke a response for years now. And what is the thing which should get the most visceral, violent response is someone trying to mess with your children, right? So there's going to come a point where some parent is going to go, I've had enough of this, and I'm taking the law into my own hand. It's going to happen. It can't not happen. I was watching a footage. Remember that guy who his son was molested or kidnapped and molested, and he went up and he shot shot the guy in the head. And he got. What was funny was he kind of got like 5 years suspended sentence from that. I'm like, because the dude is. I'm just saying, I mean, if you're
dead pedophiles don't reoffend.
No. Well, that's it, So, but this is another thing. It's not just the fact because they do want to get to the kids, but it's also they want to provoke the parents into some kind of response. And we're seeing this collectively now, right? We're seeing this kind of, oh, you can't say that, or the FBI is going to come knocking on your door.
They want to rub the power that they have in your face.
They absolutely do. It's all like pushing these boundaries. And the last boundary is your children. Because no decent man or woman is going to sit there and let this continue. So, please, firstly, school choice in every state, please. Please in Texas, please, Governor Abbott, give us school choice so we can pull our kids out of these schools.
Yeah,
that's an excellent point.
Last word.
It's the same thing with January 6th, extremists that they're looking for. They need extremists to continue forward. They want them, and if they can't find them, they will create them. Yeah. And you're exactly right.
Yeah. All right, we've got to take another quick break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile. So Patriot Mobile is one of those companies that really is putting their money where their mouths are, because all of these recent Supreme Court wins, Patriot Mobile was behind the scenes making sure that they were supporting them with donations to try to make sure that all of these pro-life organizations had what they needed to fight the good fight. They work a lot with religious freedom, making sure that they donate a portion of your bill, a portion of your money to all of these causes that you care about. This is why they're different from every other mobile provider out there. And if you're not with them, you can be rest assured that if you're like with one of the big mobile carriers, they are taking a portion of your money and they're donating it. They're just donating it to all of the left-leaning causes that you don't want to fund. Patriot Mobile's got it's all the same towers. It's the same nationwide coverage as all the major carriers. You can keep your phone, you can buy a new one, port your number over, get a new one, whatever you'd like, you can do it over at patriotmobile.com/news. You can use the offer code NEWS to get free activation. By the way, if you're a veteran or first responder, you will get a special discount, so make sure to tell them over at patriotmobile.com/news. So talking about schools and how they're trying to indoctrinate children, sometimes it sounds, you feel like conspiratorial, right? People treat you as if you're a conspiracy theorist for saying, no, they literally are indoctrinating the schools and they are like trying to gather a coalition of people to go and teach your children in the education system, to indoctrinate them and brainwash them into becoming, going into this leftist ideology. Well, yesterday, Project Veritas released a new video revealing this is Jeremy Boland. He's assistant principal at Cobb Elementary School in Connecticut. And he just says, I discriminate against hiring conservatives, Catholics, you name it. Watch.
So then what do you do with the Catholics if you find out someone is Catholic and they're not?
He said you don't have to.
So have you found that certain religions tend to be more right-wing?
Almost all of them, he says.
Protestants in this area probably are as well. If they're Catholic,
they're conservative.
They're teaching them how to think. That's it. Doesn't matter what they think about it. If they think about it in a logical, progressive way, that becomes their own.
So you kind of gear them to think in a more liberal way.
Believe me, the openly more progressive teachers are actually more savvy about delivering a democratic message without really ever mentioning politics.
And then later down the line, they're going to vote Democrat. And you will have done a great service to our country.
He says, I hope. Guys, it's literally happening. You're not crazy. You're not, well, maybe you're crazy. I don't know. But you're not crazy about this particular issue because he's saying it. And I think the most important part of that is that he is saying, no, they're not doing it over the top. These kids will never know that they're being brainwashed. They're very savvy. That was the word he used. They're very savvy about how they do it. This is completely intentional.
Well, this is what happens when you lose control of the universities, right? Because that's where it starts. Because you indoctrinate a bunch of people that, I know a lot of people that have gone to college and they've been conservative and then they've been basically bashed out of that and indoctrinated. And then what they do is they go into education, and then so you have a bunch of leftists in education, and then you get this. Yeah. So, they're unabashed. Look, it happens. I know it happens in Hollywood. They do the same thing. They're like, well, now they're more emboldened in Hollywood. They're like, okay, we're just going to come out and say it. We're just going to come out and show what we want. But in the past, they've been very, very subtle about it. And I don't think they're that subtle. He might be thinking they're being subtle, but they're not subtle in the majority of the public schools around the country. Yeah. I mean, we've had CRT in there. We've had these leftist ideologies, and they don't care for the most part, right?
Yeah. It's interesting, that he calls it subtle. Because you see like on libs at TikTok, they're not being subtle about it at all. In fact, they're going out on social media and they're just telling everybody what they're doing. They're showing their offices where they have all these crazy, posters and flags and stuff inside their offices. I saw articles, I think yesterday or a couple days ago. It was from Vice, and it was and the title was something along the lines of how libs of TikTok help spread Russian information or something like that. I was like, how are they helping to spread Russian? She's just reposting what they say in their own words. She's not even reposting. She's tweeting their TikTok videos.
I always say, they actually should give her a thank you every once in a while. She's exposing them to way more views than they ever would have gotten on their own. It's like, I don't know, maybe a thank you would be nice rather than accusing me of all of these things. I just showed your video to more people that you put out there to show people.
But also, if it's Russian disinformation, why aren't they going after the people in the videos and arresting them for treason?
Yeah.
Right. Hang on a minute.
The campaign against the TikToks it shows exactly what they're going for, and that they don't want this message getting out to the public, not out to the parents. They don't want the parents to know what's quietly being told to their kids. Mm-hmm. They do not want that at all. You have got to get. If you're not in the PTA, get in the PTA.
Or get your kids the hell out of public school.
Yeah, but if you don't have that option, if it's impossible for you to do that, go to every single meeting you can, request curriculum, find out, because all of this stuff it's getting done, and you don't know a thing about it.
I should say, get your kids the hell out of public school, homeschool if you can, but also still go to the PTA meetings if it's a private school, because it still can be happening, as I know we've talked about many times. Go ahead.
What cracks me up is Project Veritas has been exposing a lot of good stuff lately, but it cracks me up that the model still works. So if you're a businessman in some of these mainstream media companies or anything like that, and some super hot person comes up to you and wants to sit down in a quiet place and ask you a lot of these questions, PV, Project Veritas, every single time. Every
tell
time.
them.
Oh, sorry.
No, she really is that into you, I promise. She's not just trying to get information to expose you. It's cool. All right, I want to go to this story really quickly. Over in California, last week, California state regulators voted on a plan to ban the sale of gasoline-powered cars. This is going to require all new cars sold in California to be free of greenhouse gas emissions by 2035. And by the way, just as a shot chaser moment, yesterday, California officials asked residents to avoid charging their electrical vehicles to preserve the electrical grid this Labor Day weekend.
That's amazing.
Oh, by the way, also set your thermostat to 78 degrees or higher to reduce air conditioner use, and avoid using larger appliances and turn off unnecessary lights. But everyone having the electrical cars that'll go really great, guys.
As a Californian refugee, every time I see this, I'm like, what are you thinking? They can't cope with it. The amount of times we have blackouts out there, because even when again, it just gets hot. This is the United States of America, right? This isn't some kind of backwater country. And we can't run our air conditioning.
I know.
They did a thing, I think recently, they were like, we've been 100% renewable. For the first time, we've done 100% renewable fuel. And it was 4 seconds, I think it was. And it was also it was gas that they used. It's kind of not renewable. Look, this whole thing is a joke. The electric cars are a joke. You've seen the pictures of the big lithium mines, and it's again, guess what? If everyone gets an electric car, then they can turn off the electric to stop you from moving, right? This is Gavin Newsom's big plan, because he's seeing all the cars coming out to Texas.
Yeah,
he's like, well, if everyone goes on electric cars, we'll just shut them down, and they won't leave. They won't go. Right? It's insanity.
Yeah. He was probably like, nailed them. Boom. That's hilarious. Yeah, I remember that living out in LA, because I lived there for a while. That was just something, rolling blackouts. That happened all the time, and you just got used to it. Oh, more rolling blackouts.
Yeah.
This is kind of interesting, because for this entire past 2+ years, they've said that going green and green energy, it would be tons cheaper than fossil fuels and unclean energy or whatever. But that's not the case, right? Because energy prices are skyrocketing. My own energy prices here in Texas, which we have a lot of green energy here in Texas as well, unreliable. My bill's gone up over half. Everyone I talked to, it's doubled, I think, pretty much from everyone I've talked to. Remember that we even kind of stopped their progress with the election of Donald Trump. So he pulled us out of Paris. Europe didn't do that. Back in your homeland, I saw that energy prices are going to drive up inflation, could next year, Goldman Sachs said this, to 22% inflation rate in the UK. 22%. Remember, they're more advanced in this process than we are. Germany, I think it was it was the entire Eurozone was 9.1% energy prices leading the way on the inflation. This has only just begun. There was other reports that are starting to filter out. They're just coming out like last week and this week of all the businesses in Europe that are having to shut down because of energy prices.
Yeah.
And remember, this is from primarily because they put so many eggs in the basket of green energy. The cheap form of energy. Clean, cheap, that's how they're set. It's not. It's more expensive. It's more volatile. And if, let's say, I don't know, a country invades another country and disrupts, what little bit of fossil fuels you have left, this is what happens.
Yeah. So we've got to take a quick break, but I just want to say, when we come back, we're going to be talking about the authorization of the latest COVID-19 vaccine. And I'm just not sure where the conversation is going to go. So if you're watching this on YouTube or somewhere else and you notice that it is not the regular length, go ahead and just check us out over at BlazeTV.com.
It's not going to last. It ain't going to last.
BlazeTV.com. Use promo code NEWS. You'll get some savings. Find us on the audio podcast. I don't know what to tell you. It's not our fault, and I don't know what's going to happen. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Have you checked your Facebook page?
Congratulations, everyone. Today, the United States authorized its first update to COVID-19 vaccines. These are booster doses that target the Omicron strain, they say. So these are combination shots, and they contain half the original vaccine recipe and half protection. I love calling it a recipe like you're going to eat it. And half protection against the newest Omicron version. This is BA4 and BA5. And these doses are made by Pfizer and BioNTech, are available for anyone 12 or older. And Moderna's updated shots are only for adults if it has been at least 2 months since their last primary vaccination or their latest booster. And of course, here is the other shoe dropping. Because the Biden administration has pushed for a fall booster campaign to begin in September, these vaccine makers have only had time to test the reformulated shots in mice, not people.
But surely a lot of mice, though, right? Not people.
Do you find 8 mice to be a lot?
This is true, guys. This is true.
8 mice. So it sounds about right. It's just like, this doesn't surprise me at all. Yep, that's correct. So the FDA is relying on 8 mice. The trial data from 8 mice to...
I can't wait to get mine.
Yeah, let's do it.
I can't wait to get mine. Should we go and get tattoos?
Oh, yeah, we did it?
Yeah, we
totally.
did it. We got,
Right on the spot where we get the vaccine.
Yeah, right there. Like, look.
Big target.
What is going on with people?
Never mind. I was going to say something, but that would definitely get us kicked off of YouTube, so I'm not going to say
Please
it.
say
I don't know.
it.
Are we still on it? Are we still on
say
it? That tattoo will look really good on you when you're in your coffin 6 feet under.
Yeah.
So.
You totally know. This boop, it's gone now. We're out.
I don't know why he is going to be 6 feet under. I'm sure it doesn't have anything to do
Somebody's
with
got
the
to
shot,
die
okay?
at some point.
I'm sure. This is total insanity. But hold on. Do you think, how many people do you think are actually going to rush out and take this? Because I don't even think the left is going to, they'll wear the mask. You really think?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are fully indoctrinated. They're still going. There's still people wearing masks in Walmart.
But no
for
one's
crying
getting
out loud.
super sick with Omicron. You don't even.
They don't care. They're still terrified. They're terrified.
They just think they've got to do it. Here's the weird thing, honestly, because I just came back from Malta. Like, everybody over there got the vaccine. I mean, there's maybe a couple that didn't, but everyone just went and did it. Like, for the most part, there's not that individualistic attitude that we have in America. Everyone's like, okay, everyone else has got the vaccine. I'm going to go and get the vaccine. They go and get the vaccine, and that's it. Mm-hmm. it's a really weird thing. And I think that Americans need to really understand that there's only very few people outside of this country that are saying no to it. Like, this is a huge thing.
Sad.
Like, pretty much everybody in Europe has it. Yeah. I'd love to see the numbers. I mean, I know there's a few in the UK because I still, my Twitter buddies over there on it. But yes, they will be lining up. There was, please, jab me more, daddy, please.
So I want to get the details on whether or not the government plans to buy these up again, because I think every American should be up in arms if the government takes more of your tax money at this point just to launder it back to Big Pharma. Like, I mean, that should piss everybody off, because they did it before for all of these. They shouldn't have, by the way. They did it. They wasted your money on shots that don't work. How much money was it? I can't even remember. Millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars of your hard-earned money to pay Big Pharma for a failure of a shot. If they do it at this point again for Omicron, everyone should be so pissed. I did not take the swear jar.
At this point, just the way I think about things, it makes more sense for them not to give more money to buy up the vaccines and just to let the Moderna and Pfizer just take it from here. My reasoning for that is
a bunch of them they had to throw away of the last one.
Right, and but also just from a financial perspective, because we know that the government has a stake in at least the Moderna vaccine.
Yeah.
In fact, they get annual royalties. I've seen the bank accounts. This is, for anyone that hasn't seen this, we did an entire special on this. The government was working with Moderna to develop mRNA vaccines. The coronavirus vaccine was one of those mRNA vaccines. They co-own the technology for it. They get annual royalties from whatever they make off of it to a bank account at the Federal Reserve. It's there, it's true. And right now, when they bought up all those vaccines, set everything in motion, they pretty much got the populace and the entire world addicted on getting at least the first vaccine, then the second one, then the next booster, then the next booster. Now, don't throw any more money on it. If you want to make money, just sit back, you set everything in motion, let people buy the vaccines on themselves, and just collect those annual royalties.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
And if you want to see how, I just want to put this in context if I have time.
Real quick.
So,
how much time? You got 15 seconds.
15 seconds. So the first vaccine took years and years and years just to develop. They didn't test it properly. We were the guinea pigs. Well, not us, but the world was guinea pigs for that. And it was a very complicated technology, very complicated tech. This is what's called the vaccine 2.0. It's even more complicated. It's two vaccines in one shot that includes the original strain and the A4 and 5, what you talked about, the Omicron.
This is not 15 seconds.
This is not 15 seconds, but I'm still going. So it's more complicated. They tested it on 8 mice.
Yeah.
They started human trials, but why? Because they didn't wait for the data.
Right.
They said screw it and approved it.
You are the trial.
You are
the trial.
You are the lab rat.
We gotta go.
Dang it.
That was false advertising. We only have a minute here because Jason hogged all the time, but according to contribution records on the Friends of Ron DeSantis PAC website, the Siebel Family Revocable Trust made a $5,000 contribution on April 6, 2022. You may be wondering who those people are. They are actually the parents of Gavin Newsom's wife. So I think that there might be a little bit of awkward Christmas dinners. Certainly might be awkward if there would be a potential 2024 Newsom-DeSantis debate eventually. I don't know. But that's not the position you want to be in if you're Gavin Newsom. Not even your parents-in-law like you. I can promise you that. If they're voting for Ron DeSantis, they might hate you. I don't know. You'd have to ask them. But we love to see it. And I want to thank you guys again for coming on the program. Matthew Marsden, make sure that you follow him on Twitter. He's a wonderful follow, wonderful guy. Jason's okay too, I guess. Jason Buffalo.
Let me continue my rant.
Yeah. And you know what? He will as soon as we finish this program.